Let's take a look at what we have to work with here. This is a layered head. It's not too thick, it's not too long, and we're going to work with what we have. Now you're going to want to check to see how her sides might go, where those top layers end up in the back of the head. So let's section off section 1, which is the very front, 2 and 3 are the sides. Just going a little bit behind the ear. If you had fringe, this would give you a little bit more hair to pull back. Every head is different, and so that's why it's important to break them down. So in the crown here, we're going to section what I call section 4, looking at our layer length and what we have to work with. Section 5 is the bottom. Now I'm going to scoop out a big chunk of section 4 so that we have more hair to add to the bottom, because she does not have a lot of density. And this leaves us a really nice amount to work with on top. So I did not go in and start curling everything, because I like to curl each section as I go. This way you just start by sectioning and you communicate with each section. And so I've decided to take this back here into 2 sections, and one over the other, but each one off to the side. And this will help balance and fill in the back. Now this would be a great time to add in some hair extensions if you needed to. But we are going to just work with what we have. Just adding some fullness, pinching, some texture here. And right here is where I would clip in hair extensions, just giving you a little bit more for the back bun if she needed it. But sometimes you don't have that liberty. It might be a wedding party member or a mom. So, but it's amazing how much texture we can actually get. You want to just keep being really brave and just really keep pulling. This hair has been prepared with mousse. You could crimp your roots. You could even start with hot rollers. You're just going to want a lot of tack. You want the hair to be able to stand out as you see it doing and not be floppy. So that means products have to be in the hair depending on your texture. Products are all about hair texture. They're not about the updo. Just checking my crown. And now I'm going to go into this section 4, and I'm going to start just adding my curls. And they're directional because we are all working toward the back and toward the middle. And I'm coming straight up from the head, so we have some fullness at the roots. This hair is not super heavy and it's layered. So we do not need to tease the crown. Teasing the crown if you have heavy hair and if you have longer hair. But for this one, you'll see we really don't need to do it. Directional, again, pulling back so those sides are more tight and not poofy. We don't want the sides to be too poofy. That can look too dated. Sometimes you want to put your finger on there and feel the heat come through. And keep your sections thin. That way the heat can come through and you can get a nice clean curl. You'll see how I clean the hair and clean each section as I go so that we have a clean, smooth look in the end. Coming again, straight out, warming, pulling back, and just directionally setting this. Sometimes when you just go in and start curling everything and it can take so long, it's really not necessary because some parts of the hair actually don't need curl, or they just need it on the ends. So that's why I use a sectioning system. So playing around, this could be in a million different ways. It depends on the hair, the neckline of the dress. Just playing around till I get a feeling of how I want to put this in, tucking around and pinning her in, because every client will be different. So I want you to think on your feet and make decisions based on your sectioning, not just following a tutorial. So certainly you can follow the steps and follow the system, but you will make different decisions. But once you have an Updo system figured out, then you can attack any head and you will grow in your creativity. So I'm just doing some cleaning. And now we're going to pull down that, pretty much it ends up being that section that we scooped out before. And again, you'll see me play with it and see what decisions I want to make. Remember, a photo is about a shape, and it's about texture, and it's about a look. It doesn't have to be exactly like the photo. That's where it gets too difficult. So in the end, I decided to split this, and you'll see the wonderful textures and just how pretty this can look when it's just not one big clumpy piece. The more you break it up, the more it is a custom updo. It's like the small details on a couture dress as opposed to an off-the-rack dress. Your clients will appreciate, ooh, you got me the shape, but it doesn't look like every photo on Pinterest. So playing around and pinching, pinching, pinching. This one, I decided to wrap behind it. So you are just going to want to feel it as you're working, and you will grow in your intuition and your creativity and your confidence. Now just pinch that top layer. I'm not putting an elastic, I'm just holding it down at the bottom. That's going to allow it to really pinch. And now remember, this is double time, this video. Take your time. Take your time to pinch. Pinch and pull and pinch and pull. For an extra set of hands, I'm going to reach for a silver clip, and that will help free up the ability to just add more detail and more texture. If you need to, you can spray as you go along with this. I'm going to do some tunnel pinning. Just feel it go right under my finger. Remember, these sections are small and lightweight and not super long, so they don't need a ton of pins. This is a mid-length style. Hairpins are for this detail work, and try not to get too perfect. We are not done yet. Coming off the front here, having a conversation with your client. How does she want and envision her front? You know, does she want her ears showing? Does she want it dipping loose? Does she want it pulled back? Some people like it to stay in all night. Some people like it to fall out. But the general idea is to just work your systems in each of these sections and adapt each section based on feedback from the client. Now also, depending on time, you could take all of this and bring it back. You could put this in a braid. You are working now on section 3. So we're going to just continue to give this look as much detail and texture as we can. You can see that I have the hair pulled and I'm standing in the back and I'm holding it to the side. I'm holding it pretty much where I want it to go, using that silver clip to hold it in, and now getting a little bit more detailed again. When you tweak and shape, you're not doing anything wrong and you're not quote unquote fixing anything. You are assessing. You are looking at shape. And I'm just going to go behind that and just solidify that section 3 just behind the ear. With these looser looks, try really hard not to twist too hard, not to pull them back too tightly. Allow the sectioning and the system to work for you, but try to keep your texture and the hair loose. You want to just keep poking at it until it lays the way you want it to lay. So important not to get frustrated, because the client will sense it. We give off an energy when there's frustration, and it's a head game. I got this. I'm going to make this work. Make it work. We all know that saying. Cleaning, cleaning, and just probably going to stick a hairpin in there at some point. Well, bobby pin. Just going to help pop that a little bit closer to the head. There's the hairpin. Just draw it right in, and it does its job. So now we have section 1, which is the very, very front, and section 2, which is the other side. Sometimes when you're faced with a full head of curls, it can get overwhelming. But when you break it down this way and you work each section, it just is a little bit more clear, and the client is not just sitting while you curl, 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 curl. Always ask the client how she wears her everyday hair. She brings you a photo that's mostly pictures of the back, and you're going to want to get her to feel comfortable with the front. So this has a little bit of a cowlick look in the front here, and you're going to really want to help her feel like herself, just more stunning. Let the hair talk to you. Let it speak. You've done your sections, you've done your curls, and it's going to flow. And this way, you're never really going to duplicate a look. It's just going to be custom. And everything today is about giving the guest an experience. Just wrapping that pin and shoving it in there. Lots of those braids are in there, remember, from section 5. It's a close-up here. Got some really pretty shape. Could really stick a lot of beautiful crystals and stuff in some of those spaces. So let's finish off. You'll see, yep, it pops out, no biggie. It's gonna just lay right across the head and pin right in. And working that fullness so the guest likes it. So there we go. Just 2 silver clips really frees me up now to have the client look in the mirror. How's this? How's this? Do you like this? Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that. Okay. Just checking myself for balance. And even at this point, you can have the client stand up and give her the mirror. And before you finally tweak and pin, you can just show her. And it's important that you just listen to her and don't get in your own head. She doesn't see what you see. She doesn't even know what a flaw is. And here's the final look. I hope all these tips helped you. Please come into my Updo group and visit my courses at updosystem.com.